Time to open our wallets, open our ears to our faith, and apply how we handle money accordingly. And, of course, the expert is in studio. Drew Blazsik is joining us right now. Hey, good morning, Drew.
Hey, good morning. How's it going?
So far, so good.
So let's talk. We ended last week with a beginning of the conversation about tariffs, something that is obviously on the minds of many people right now. We've had this going on with President Trump and this introduction of these new tariffs long enough to begin to measure. Are they good? Are they bad? Are there positives? Are there negatives? And kind of give us your thoughts as you look at that topic in particular.
So I think when you look at tariffs, it's.
I could have just started this by saying, Drew, what do you think of tariffs? That would have been a lot faster way to get there. Sorry.
So I think when you look at tariffs, you have to say, what's the point of it? Is it? I would say that most people would say this is America first kind of policy because you want to promote American companies. So anytime you do that, you're promoting businesses. Wages that could benefit from tariffs, and also reduce the deficit. So some data that's coming in: 108 billion since June of 25 came in. There's some other data that it was estimated. Another source said that tariff-driven revenue was 142 billion so far in the current fiscal year. And then long-term effects, they said the CBO, so the Congressional Budget Office, estimates that in the next decade. Now, one thing about the CBO, they're wrong all the time.
I don't know when the CBO has ever been right.
They're like the Weather Channel.
And they don't ever seem to come out and apologize that, we blew that.
And they're identical to the Weather Channel. They make these projections, and then sometimes they're right, and like, yes, and they get excited. But they said it's going to $4 trillion over the next decade cut from our national debt.
And again, normally,
that's a good thing.
They come down on the conservative side when it's honestly when it's a Republican putting it forward. They normally come down on the lower side. So $4 billion is.
And when you mean conservative side, you mean a smaller.
Yeah, they come
amount.
down on a smaller end.
It could be a lot more.
Yeah, so $4 trillion. If they're saying $4 trillion, that could be quite a bit higher.
Now, one thing you got to look at tariffs: is it raising prices? And even I think Jerome Powell, I saw say he admitted recently. I don't think he said I made a mistake, but prices have not gone up because of tariffs.
He did actually come out and say that it went against what he thought was going to happen. It's the opposite is happening.
One thing about economics, and even things I say, is just that we're just making these guesses. Like, do we really know? I mean, and the Federal Reserve made all those assumptions about it, and they're wrong about a lot of things. Right. They're wrong about the transitory inflation, and so I think that's a good thing.
I want to stay on tariffs for just a minute because when they were first introduced, President Trump introduced them as a fair way, just saying, look, if a country is going to charge us 12% tariff, we're just going to do that. We're going to do the same. Either they're going to lower theirs and we'll meet them there, or we'll raise ours to meet them where they're at. That hasn't exactly proven to be the way that it's played out. That seemed commonsensical to me. Like, okay, well, if somebody's doing 12%, you've got to do 12% just to have an even playing field.
So I think it was if we try to sell our goods in Mexico, it's like a 25% tariff. So how's that fair if we're going to try to compete in Mexico, American goods? So we should, and you got to think about it. Could it affect consumer prices? It could, but that would put like a gun to their head saying, you better lower your tariffs, and then it'd be more fair trading. And I would say, that's a good thing. I used to teach this. I taught economics since 2015, and I never thought that would be a reality because especially Republican president would ever do a tariff.
Right.
That's more of the old school politicians back then. And I was like, that could be a good idea. But now to what you were saying here, so if it is truly America first, and that's what the tariffs are, two things I would disagree with Trump would, our biggest trading partner is Canada.
Right.
And that benefits us, that benefits them. I mean, they're our biggest trading partner. So they came out and said, we want to acknowledge a Palestinian state, which has nothing to do with America First policy, right? Nothing to do with it. And then now somebody mentioned that Trump took those words back, but when they said they're going to recognize that, Trump in response warned that move could derail the trade deal and threatened to impose a 35% tariff on Canadian goods. So he threatened America First policy because of a policy with a foreign nation, which was Israel.
Right.
And I think everyone's kind of seeing that sometimes our policy is directly with Israel. It's like the second U.S. in a way.
Right.
And I would say that's not a good thing. I disagreed with Biden. I'll explain one other situation here that Trump did, and Biden did the same thing. Was when the Russian and Ukraine war broke out, what did Biden do? He used the United States dollar as a weapon. Now, some might agree with that, but the problem is, what did Russia do? They went away from the dollar. They went straight to China.
Right,
And if you look at Russia, Russia struggled at the beginning. Then their economy is booming.
Yeah.
So now our dollar is it doesn't mean nothing in that part of the world.
Right.
And that's not America First policy, in my opinion. Another thing, real quick, is that India announced that they're going to trade with Russia oil.
Yeah.
And America's been so against that. You can go back to the pipeline that we bombed before. And then Trump said he's going to do a tariff on that too. And again, and what did that do? It pushed India straight to China and Russia.
Right, yeah.
And India go, okay. And India is, for investors out there, is the emerging market. I think that's
the
even
largest
bigger.
population of any nation in the world, by the way.
And I'm involved in academia, and I can't tell you how much that India,
the largest democracy, in the world.
and how India is. I think they got a bigger population than China. does.
Now, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
it happened a couple years ago, but they are really emerging and trying to become westernized. And universities I've worked at, they're trying to partner with us, and they really want to get that American education. So I mean, India's I think the next 10 years is going to be pretty big.
That
I
should
have to
really
tell
be
you,
nurtured.
Yeah, the thing that I've enjoyed most about this conversation about the tariffs is reciprocity. I didn't know what it meant before, and so now I've added that to my lexicon. That's it. I don't know that I've benefited in any other way, but I do like that word.
Yeah, I do too.
That's it. and again, to the point, I thought it was a very fair and when this whole conversation began, it was some of these tariffs have been put on since the Second World War to help governments and nations bounce back after the Second World War.
Taxing us.
And then they were never removed. Like, okay, well, it was a good thing then.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing for us to look at, and I think a fair playing field would be according to Catholic teaching, but not to use it as an oppressive thing to dictate one nation to the next.
I'm glad you brought World War II up, because that was the whole plan, was to get those nations going. And then we did the Marshall Plan, was to flood American dollars overseas to become the United States was the reserve currency. That's why we spend so much overseas.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. I think it cannot be used as a weapon, because if it is, they're going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's going to hurt America First policy.
And I would bet if you start kind of comparing that to Catholic teaching, you're also going to find fairness is right. Oppressing an independent
Totally agree.
nation by those kinds of means wouldn't jive with Catholic teaching.
I agree.
And I think that's what the Catechism says. It doesn't jive. Paragraph nowhere in the Catechism. Yeah. Nowhere in the Catechism is it doesn't jive. So there you go.
That's right.
That's a Davism.
And of course, there's a lot of history we can learn from, so let's hope we do.
I hope they have trade policy in the Catechism. They should add it.
Yeah, well,
There you go.
and there
Hopefully
are
the
definitely
14th
things
can put
that
in
are reflective of that,
That's
right?
right, that's
So
right.
be interesting to look to see how some of those things might match up. So,
All right, Professor Drew Blazsik, thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you.
Always insightful.